She really doesn't seem to understand how a quote actually works. Like the entire concept of quoting someone is that it's word for word verbatim. And not kind of what they meant, not close enough, and definitely not how I interpreted it in my head. If it's not what someone literally said, it's not a quote. It's not a hot take, that's just basic definition. But here we are, in the upside down. And since we're already knee-deep in this bizarre theater of chaos, can we take a second to discuss the thing that's been living rent-free in my head ever since I watched that board meeting footage? Tiffany's wig. Yes, I said it. I don't know what kind of glue is used, but it was giving nope, I'm out energy. I kept watching the video thinking something looked ... off. Like something on her head was slowly losing its will to live. And then it hit me. That wig is sliding back faster than someone avoiding their landlord on the first of the month. It looked like it had retired from duty, like it packed its bags and said, "This ain't my fight." Every time I rewind the clip, I end up zoning out not from what she's saying, but from that hairline trying to escape the screen. This entire saga could honestly be titled The Dictator and the Receding Hairline, and I wouldn't be mad. I'm actually kind of obsessed with how on brand it is. It's giving late-night IG live energy, but in a public board meeting, and I'm living for it. But y'all tell me, was that a look or a leak? Press 1 if you think that hairline was holding it down. Press 2 if it's a no from you, dog. Anyway, let's get to the actual mess. The board meeting itself was pure chaos wrapped in municipal dysfunction. One of the speakers stood up and said if anyone needed anything, they could just contact him or Keith Freeman, apparently 24/7. Like there's a customer service hotline for the village of Dolton. Real accessible energy, I'll give them that. But then Tiffany jumped in, defending why staff should still get paid Evan if things weren't processed properly or submitted on time. Okay, quote her. I attempt to quote. She said, "You must pay to stop." Like, huh? I swear she just read that off the back of a gas station hoodie and thought it was profound. Sis really dropped that line like it was scripture, and I'm sitting there like, what exactly are we stopping, reality? The whole argument was that the employees worked showed up, and shouldn't be punished just because someone didn't forward the right files. And you know what? It's fair. But here's where it gets shady. She tried to shut the whole conversation down like her word was the law, like there was no room for debate. Like she was sitting on Mount Olympus with a mic in one hand and a thunderbolt in the other. Ma'am, this isn't your solo album. You don't get to drop a quote and walk off. This is taxpayer money we're talking about, not open mic night, and thankfully one of the trustees wasn't having it. They clapped back, pointing out that the board had passed actual ordinances requiring all hiring and firing to go through them. You know, checks and balances. The trustee straight up said that village business shouldn't be getting dumped in people's inboxes on weekends. This isn't a family group chat's government. You don't just casually forward critical decisions on a Sunday like it's a brunch invite. If it's serious, handle it during work hours with proper documentation. Respect the process. They made it clear this wasn't about attacking staff. It was about protecting the integrity of the process. Because if there's no system in place, then what are we even doing? You can't just go rogue and hope it works out later. One trustee said they had to call Keith Freeman on a Sunday just to figure out what was going on because nobody sent the documents in time. It's not leadership. That's a crisis hotline. And listen, this next part had me hit pause and laugh out loud. Did y'all catch the man sitting next to Tiffany? The way that man was staring at her? Oh my God, I know. That look. That was, I'd change my whole life for you energy. It was giving baby I got your lunch order memorized vibes. He was fully locked in a contact, body turned toward her, hopeful smirk. Like he was waiting for her to whisper, meet me in the parking lot. I don't know if that man's married or not, but the emotional adultery in that gaze was deafening. God, you can't fake that kind of devotion. You just can't. Anyway, back to the circus. Another trustee jumped in and said what needed to be said. This is not about delaying paychecks. It's about having accurate information and following the law. They were crystal clear approving things blindly just to keep the peace is how you end up bankrupt. Because once that budget crashes, it won't be Tiffany taking the blame. It'll be the board. That's how this works. There'll be The ones holding the flaming bag while Tiffany does a photo op and talks about transparency. And they're absolutely right. Sitting on that board isn't about looking like you carrots. It's about actually protecting the people's money. It's about making hard decisions, asking uncomfortable questions, and making sure the village doesn't get run like a Cash App hustle. But instead, you've got Tiffany out here trying to rewrite quotes, deliver sound bites, and act like dissent is disrespect. No, ma'am, this ain't church. Nobody's shouting amen just because you got loud. In conclusion, messy wigs, shady quotes, weird crushes, and people thinking taxpayer money should be handled like a Snapchat story. We're in for a ride, y'all, another person chimed in, and honestly, they were just speaking basic common sense. They said all this chaos could be avoided if people simply followed the rules and met deadlines. They gave props to the staff for being available on weekends, which is fair, but also made it clear that this whole always-on call thing is not sustainable. The real fix isn't to burn everyone out tits to build a system that works during regular business hours so people aren't scrambling at the last minute every time. But of course, Tiffany had to jump in again, because she never lets a conversation end without getting the last word. She said if the board had questions, they could have just called her or the administrator on Friday, claimed they're available 24/7, that her phone is always on, and that she talks to Keith nonstop. Like, girl, that is not the brag you think it is. Being in constant contact doesn't mean the system's running well, it means the opposite. Honestly, does Kamal know about all this late-night texting? Because something tells me that situation might be a little more than work-related. I won't get too messy yet. Still, it's wild how someone who constantly preaches transparency and ethics always seems to be locked in a private echo chamber with the same man. Look, I'm not saying she can't have friends, but let's be real, Kamal was supposed to be the one with something on the side. The twist? Sis is the side. And I don't even think she realizes it. Or maybe she does, and she's just playing along because the truth would hurt more than the fantasy. Remember, she went on the radio and swore up and down that Kamal had been trying to get a divorce for 4 years. For whole years, girl, if it takes someone 4 years to file paperwork, they're not trying. They're stalling. That's not a relationship. It's a train wreck, honestly. I will never understand why Tiffany continues to tie herself to someone like that. She doesn't need him. She has enough presence, ambition, and connections to stand alone. But instead, she's chasing after a man who couldn't find integrity with a flashlight and Google Maps. She acts like she found a diamond. But in reality, he's not the prize she was. She used to be the bag, but now, sis became the bag as in the money. He's chasing paper, and somehow, she turned into the paycheck. I don't know how it flipped, but here we are now. Let's get into her latest meltdown. Tiffany's out here accusing the trustees of slacking, saying they don't attend committee meetings, don't ask enough questions, and don't read the documents posted on the village's internal app. Hey, she keeps yelling, it's all in app. Like that's supposed to solve everything. Ma'am, if the app actually worked the way you say it does, we wouldn't be having this conversation. She just uses it as a prop, and then she throws out her signature line. If you need help, just reach out. Then she gives out her personal number like she's operating a village call center. But when people do reach out, crickets. She gives nothing but smoke, deflection, and rehearsed lines. Then she starts on about land bank approvals, claiming trustees voted for things they didn't even understand. She waved around this so-called paper about the Bible-Act housing program No, the one promising free houses and $5,000 homes, and said she'd share it with everyone. But of course, she never did. Classic Tiffany. She paraded that paper around like it was a scroll of justice, said it was public info, and then walked off stage like it never existed. No one's seen it since. No explanation, no follow-up. We're supposed to just believe Herbie, because she's the mayor, and apparently that means blind trust now. That's not leadership. That's a one-woman regime. And to top it off, she accused the board of misquoting someone during a vote, claiming the woman they referenced never said what was reported. Meanwhile, she's out here pushing her own housing project like she's just misunderstood. She keeps crying about not getting a fair shot, talking like her housing program deserves the same support the land bank got. But let's be real, her idea of transparency is trust me. That's not how government works. Especially not when you're asking people to cough up thousands of dollars for a property acquisition process that has more red flags than a NASCAR race. And now let's break down these housing programs she brags about. For the $1 and $5,000 homes, the fine print is absolutely wild. For the dollar houses, investors have to show $20,000 in liquid cash, be licensed and bonded in Dolton, get a 90-day repair, permit, and pass inspections. Oh, and if they fail, the village keeps their $1,000 escrow, just like that. Fail, you lose your money. And it gets worse. It's literally a lottery. 75% of the profits go to the investor, 25% to the village. Tiffany once bragged about how a private inspector saved her from buying a house with rotten floor joists. And yeah, that would be admirable if it wasn't so hypocritical, because this is the same woman who once rented out a house to a mother and her kids that was infested with black mold, crawling with rats, and had raw sewage in the basement. And guess what? One of her friends, yes, one of her people, proved it as safe. She literally had someone from her inner circle put a stamp of approval on a biological hazard. But when she's the buyer, suddenly she's all about third-party inspectors and second opinions. It's wild. She tells people to go get their own private inspectors, but don't forget, this is the same woman who used her friends to greenlight hazardous homes. And now she claims the village is making money off this process? Please. It's hard to believe this is about uplifting the community when she's the one pocketing the perks while changing the rules on a whim. Every path leads straight back to her. Now the $5,000 houses, they come with their own nightmare. Residents have to live in the home for 5 years, complete all repairs within 90 days, and pass 2 inspections. Sounds reasonable. Until you realize Tiffany controls the permits. And what is she infamous for? Delaying those permits? People can't even start fixing their homes because she won't issue the paperwork. So they're set up to fail from the jump. She creates the block, watches you trip, then blames you for not finishing. It's not mismanagement, it's a trap. It's calculated chaos. All of it ties back to one thing: control. This is what happens when someone wants all the attention but none of the responsibility. If something goes well, she's right there, smiling for the camera. If it goes wrong, suddenly it's someone else's fault. But she wants every ribbon cutting, every headline, every ounce of credit even when others do the hard part. Somehow, she always spins it like she's the hero, no matter the outcome. And now, the visuals. Because we have to talk about that hairline. That hairline deserves its own census form. So far back, it looks like it's hiding from the drama. I'm just saying. What are we calling this look, y'all? No forehead left behind? Or should we suggest she'll bring it back down to a respectful Eddie Winslow line right over the brows? If you caught that reference, drop an Eddie W in the comments. It's giving throwback sitcom energy. Anyway, don't forget to behave, because you already know I won't. But even if I clown, know this: Mama still loves you. Yes, she does. Peace.